for Breakfast. As I said just before we click record there, I've got a great LinkedIn tool for us all to play with, but it isn't just one tool. It aggregates together a load of stuff that I've been creating over probably a year now of different resources. So actually today this will be hopefully you'll find it all a very valuable resource for you. But what are we all doing here? What are we all doing here? This is LinkedIn for Breakfast, and let me just quickly share this with you. Oh, hello, let me get rid of this. There you go. What is our mission here? Just so you kind of know what my sinister plan is with all of you. The whole point of LinkedIn Breakfast is to be able to help you to be able to kind of unlock the full potential of LinkedIn. We look at two different things. We look at things like brand awareness, which is basically getting more people to recognize you. And the second thing is around lead generation. That's getting your phone ringing, inbox pinging. So that's what we do. Those are the two reasons. I'm kind of more of a lead generator type marketer. That's where my kind of cut my teeth. And our vision here is to make this the best place on earth to learn LinkedIn for free. So tell your friends, bring everybody along. We want to really help and give great resources, which you shall see. We'll deliver on that today. This is not like me telling you about my life story. I'm going to pitch you something at the end. There's none of that. I'm going to give you some loads of value. So do jump into this community as well. So this is our LinkedIn for Breakfast community. It's a free community to join. And actually, if I jump onto here and show you it, I did mention before we went to live is that if you are thinking about anything within LinkedIn, Johnny was talking about Sales Navigator, you can jump into the classroom here, and in the classroom, you'll probably find something you're looking for. And so here you go, Sales Navigator here, and there's a training on how should you use Sales Navigator. So feel free to dive into there and jump into that session. But not now, obviously, because you've got to strap yourself in for a double dive on terms of actually putting together a strategy, a plan for your LinkedIn, the ultimate plan. Right, so let's just head on back to my notes. So what we're going to be doing today is basically going through this 6-month AI tool that I've created specifically around your business and how we can help with it. So there is if I send out this link into the chat now, you can go onto it. And this is onto a YouTube video. And on this YouTube video, if I just copy and paste it into here, at the bottom here, so the idea is that this video, I'll just get rid of this AI. There you go. So this video will walk you through it if you want a reminder of kind of some of the advice, etc., that I'll be talking about today. But if you go click more here, you'll find the AI tool in here. So this is where the AI tool is here. Click on here, and then you'll get diverted into this AI tool. So I'm going to actually give you the AI tool just straight away as well, if you don't want to fiddle around, and then you can get into this chat, right? Now, the point of this is I've preloaded this with so many different resources that can help you to be able to put together a 6-month growth plan for LinkedIn. So in the next 6 months, how do we make this year the best year yet for your LinkedIn outreach and business growth? And so we're going to actually kind of associate what we're trying to do on LinkedIn to lead generation, making sales, and therefore ultimately growing your business, right? And so the first thing that we're going to ask you to do is just click start here on this, and it's going to ask you just for 3 things. And this is the only things that we're going to need you to do. So it's not going to use up all your free ChatGPT credits and all the rest of it. It's just one input, and then it's going to give you one output. And that output's going to be a 6-month plan with a ton of resources and help and support on it. And then I further refine this. If anybody has seen this before, I further refine this even more this week. So the first thing it's going to ask you, like many of us, let me just make this bigger, is your brand positioning statements. Most of the GPTs that I create, I'm always saying to people, put in these brand positioning statements. What are the brand positioning statements? They're a document that looks like this. And it just basically gives niche statement, value proposition, problem statement, solution statement, why choose you, all of this. And it looks like a lot of work, but if you have this, great. You probably used some of my GPTs and my AI tools before. If you don't have this, there is a free tool. If I go back to here, there's a free AI tool that basically it will take you 2 seconds. You'll answer like 3 questions and it will create that entire thing for you. It's a really great tool in there. So create that, and then as we do this, you copy and paste it into this. The reason why oh, hang on, I keep on going back to this because that's the wrong one. Here you go. The reason why I do this is it just immediately updates this and just tells them exactly the business that you're doing, what you're focusing on, what you're targeting. A lot of people, when they try and put together these GP or create these GPTs, they might have two or three different businesses they're doing. Maybe they've been talking to their AI about different opportunities, and before you know it, you're kind of discussing things with your AI that doesn't give it a total reflection of the actual campaign you're trying to drive today. You might have two or three businesses. You might have two or three opportunities. You might have different people actually using your GPT. So do you know what I mean? So by doing this, it just goes, this is the business, this is the customer, this is the target we're doing. So that's the first thing. So if you haven't got that, do that. If you do have that, just simply copy and paste it into the chat there. And if people, when you do have it, by the way, if you want to be using some of the further resources that I have here, most of them ask for this. So we always just bookmark bar this document, just a document on here. And because it just means that we're always educating with exactly what our niche is, what our value is, what our problem statement is. So that in itself is value today for you. But once you've done this, then all we need now is your current revenue and your target monthly revenue. So at the bottom of this, you go target revenue. So or current revenue, current rev is, let's say, 5K per month, right? And then target rev is, say, 10K per month, right? In 6 months. Let's see if we can double this revenue per month in 6 months. And then we go from there. That's it. Now I'm going to press return, and this thing is going to write out a complete summary and give you a number of different campaigns and resources to help to do this. Now, my task now is to help to bring this to life for us all on this call, to show some of these ideas and to give you some ideas of some cool LinkedIn tactics. So you can go, oh, actually, it's worth doing this because actually what Richard said seems to be quite a good idea. So hence why I can kind of hopefully sell you on the idea of using this free thing today and helping you, right? So the summary of this growth plan is daily outbound strategy. So we need to make sure we've got a LinkedIn engine working. So something that's generating new connections, new messages, new conversations straight away. It's also going to give you a content engine. So we need something to build our authority. So we talked about this lead generation, business development was one of our core things, and then brand awareness. So that's kind of those two things. So content getting seen more and interacted more, and then people getting connected and messaged more, the lead generation piece, right? We also want to give you a fast way to get to cash. And so this is what we call the network reactivation. So we've got a really nice tactic to be able to help you to generate a little bit more revenue from the people that you're talking to. Then we're going to help you to refine your offer to make sure it's even more attractive for who you're targeting. And then finally, if you're here, then perhaps you would agree with me that events are actually quite a good way of being able to generate brand awareness and potentially lead generation. And so we're going to give you some tactics on how I run an event like this and some little inside tactics and hints and tips to be able to do that. Cool, right? And don't worry, I'm not just going to go through this whole thing. I'm actually going to jump onto a little board here and I'm going to draw out some stuff for you. So I'm going to try and bring this to life, and I will be showing you some of these tactics in action on LinkedIn. So bear with me. Bear with me. Okay, right. So month to month breakdown. So the whole point of this is going to got 6 month plan. It's going to break you down month to month. So the first thing is this daily outreach system, and it's going to then give you this training, week 1 connection and marketing strategy, and you'll be able to go to this, and this will take you to a free training inside LinkedIn for Breakfast for a 5-day challenge that will help you to be able to do a LinkedIn and connection outreach session, right? And the whole point of this is we talk about trying to get people to the 100 club. So most people forget that they've got so many connections that they need to be able to work upon. So you have, hello, LinkedIn safely allows you to have 100 connections per week, to send 100 connections per week. You can probably extend it a little bit, but if you're not sending 100 connections, you don't get them back. So we divide that by the 5 days a week, so you have 20 per day, right? So that's your connection strategy. But it doesn't just end there with new connections. Most of us are sitting on, say, 2,000 odd connections, and we kind of forget to, oh, hello, what have I done there? We kind of forget to actually connect a message to them. No, that's the wrong one. Excuse me. There we go. Um, we forget that we're already sitting on all of these lovely potential 2,000 odd followers, connections that we might have. How many of them are actually perfect audience that you haven't gone back to? So we also then suggest that you do 30 DMs to your target audience per day. And we're trying to draw them back into something, right? And so then this becomes the content strategy. Well, you don't just kind of message them and just say, how are you? We want to say, what are you working on? What are you doing now? We've got this thing that I'd love to invite you to, and we want to try and draw them out. So the whole point of this is we want you to go into your audience, 20 connection days, 30 DMs, that's 50 outreaches per day. If you can hit that 50 outreach per day, then that's going to give you a really nice engine and consistency that works. And it's not that hard to be able to do this because if you go onto LinkedIn and you're just trying to use the free version, you might do something like founder plus Surrey plus UK. If you're trying to search this, that tactic that I just told you, that training shows you how to do all of this. And then suddenly we've now got all the business owners in Surrey and we can go through here and go connect, 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 connect. Right. So it's simple as that, finding what your search is, which we train you on the training, and then start to outreach and message and work through them. The same thing can happen if we're doing this search. We then switch this and go, well, actually, how many of these founders in Surrey are first degree connections? And this is where that 30 DMs come. Now I'm suddenly seeing, look, first degree, first degree, first degree, first degrees. These are all the people I'm currently connected with who also are founders in Surrey in the UK, if that's my target audience, right? And now I can send my 30 messages to them. Boom. Now, what are we going to be sending them? So let's keep on going through our conversation, right? So when we will talk about the daily content engine, so we're doing daily connections and we want to have daily content going out because it gives you that momentum. And if you keep that ball rolling, if you're not consistently posting, what happens with LinkedIn is you have this model where the the kind of the last day's post will help you to be able to get the next day's post. So when you first start, your post might have this little bit of reach here, and it will kind of come back down again and there, and then you post again, but you don't start from zero. You start from up here because you have sort of an amount of followers that kind of come with you, and then you kind of build it up like this, and it kind of starts to. This is how the momentum works. If you drop for a couple of days, you're back down here and you're having to start again, right? And this is the problem by not, if you have a week off, you're back down again. So you got to kind of build that. It doesn't have to be every day, but at least has to be sort of 3 times a week minimum to have that kind of built up authority. Now, the content's got to be good because if it's just awful content, then you might have one that just goes bloop down here, but you will still have some of this. So if this post did okay, but then your third post of the week was like a blur, a fail, your fourth post of the week still has 2 and 1 of decent content to kind of help it go up. So it's not like everything is always going to be better than the last one, but if you had a good piece of content at the beginning of the week, then it could be there. So there's some tactics around what that content plan should be. So when we start to think about this content plan, and again, just to reference it back to the 6 month plan, there is a content system here and a content rhythm, right? So we talk about this content plan and a content rhythm, and I've got a strategy. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and each day has a training and also a GPT that's going to help you to build that post. This is like seriously good. Okay. Remember, you can be giving this to your VA to be able to do this stuff for you. You can be doing it yourself to test that it works. But for example, here, Monday, doing a poll. Now, I'm going to show you in a second on the whiteboard the entire system and why it works. But I just wanted to show you here. Here's the training. Here is the GPT link. And then straight on this GPT link, this is going to help you to create a poll. Because we say for a poll, it helps you to spike the algorithm at the start of the week to get people voting on it. And then that, if we go back to our diagram, we can get a good post on Monday, then that starts the week higher than if we get like a not so good post on Monday, right? So we want to start the week well. Um, so, for example, you would go into here and go, right, it's Monday, start here, and then you would go, well, and you would work through this. It's probably going to ask you for your business positioning statements. There you go. And so we would then dump those in there. So we can go copy, paste, job done. And then it's going to ask us what is the topic, subject, or theme we're basing the poll on, right? And it'll give you some examples based on your business positioning statement, right? So I might say LinkedIn um, outreach for um, SME owners, right? Boom. So that's my theme for the week. We'll talk about themes in a second. And then that's it. I answered two questions. And now we have the post text for the poll. We got the poll question. We got the first comment to use. And we got the DM to people who are voting on the poll to be able to then start those conversations, right? So just showing you this. And it also is wrapped up with the training on all the little nuances of why this is important. So how cool is this? So you've got not only a weekly content rhythm, but you've got individual trainings and individual AI tools that work with that content rhythm. So if anybody's seen that post that I posted recently about do you want this thing with lots of different tools, this is where you get it. This is where you can find this. Okay, so zooming back in, let's have a look at this. So why are we talking about this? So let me just grab this and just pull this down. Oh, hello. There we go. Because let's just show you the content plan. So we have this theme, this concept of having 13 themes. Why 13? Because 13 times by 4 quarters equals your 52 weeks. So if we get a perfect content plan for a 13-week cycle, then the beauty is that we can repurpose this. So for example, that poll that I just showed you on a Monday, using that every quarter, so 4 times a year, posting that same question is not going to be seen. People don't, one, not everybody's seeing every one of your posts. I wish that was the case, but let's be honest, you scroll through LinkedIn, you might see like 13 people's stuff. You're never going to see the 2,000 people you're following. So not everybody's going to see your post. So one, not everybody's going to see your post. Two, not everybody's going to remember what that exact question was, right? And so just don't worry about things being repurposed. When you're talking about articles and newsletters or even videos, then you probably don't want to necessarily repurpose a newsletter because that's an article, it's a bit more long form. You probably wouldn't reuse that, but you would reuse things like polls and case studies and that sort of stuff, right? So when we think about this, the 13-week cycle. So if we know that we're using a theme, we've got a theme for the week. So for example, I had LinkedIn lead generation. Then we can say, well, actually, what are we going to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? So we break the week into segments. And then on Monday, we would then do the poll because we want to spike that algorithm on a Monday, get people voting on it, get the reach going, okay? Tuesday, going back to our plan here, current affairs post, right? So what do I mean by current affairs post? This is where you go and find a post that's trending on LinkedIn or something that is trending interestingly and you write a post about it. For example, today, or yesterday, King Charles made a speech to Congress, right? That's currently very like what interested people are talking about it. What can you say about it? Or could you just share a post that says, oh, it's interesting that King Charles has shared this, or you try in an ideal world, you try and relate it back to your industry. So for me, if I'm talking to SMEs about lead generation stuff, I might say something along the lines of, it's great that King Charles's speech went down so well with Congress. Hopefully that helps to ease up the tensions in trade between US and UK businesses and that it starts to help to bolster further alliance to improve the economy or something like that. What do you think? The whole point of this is that you're using this current affairs post to be able to generate more kind of conversations and more interest. Let me give you a real life example of this. The poll thing, I think we all know what a poll is. We've probably seen it a hundred odd times. But if I go onto my profile here, and I go to post impressions and I look at recent posts. Uh, for example, here you go, St. George's Day, right? So this is a post I put out, it's a current affairs post, and I use St. George's Day. I did a fun little picture in it. And it just created, what do we get? Like 6,000 odd comments, 29 comments, likes, etc. It's created conversation around it, and it just allows me to have that little bit further reach. So I'm building that engagement, I'm building that reach, and I'm also using it as a way of having a conversation, right? That's using a national day. Let me just go back and just show you kind of the other ones. What's happened here? So here, let me just go last 365 days. So this is, here you go. So here, 150,000, and this is me talking about flags on bridges when they were there, and I was having a rant about flags on bridges being hijacked, right? Or something a little bit more work related. About tax and for small businesses. Now that's not related to LinkedIn lead generation, but it is related to small businesses and how people take home. And again, 100 odd impressions. So the whole point of this is opinion pieces, current affairs pieces. Some of them do great, some of them don't. Doesn't matter, but you're putting out something that is relevant. Okay. So this is where this piece comes into the mix on Tuesday, because gang, if I've got a poll that does really well, and just to kind of backtrack on this, and just go back to the poll. So let me just go to my 7 day window. There'll be, here you go. So here's a poll, right? 19 votes, people talking about having a clear strategy in place for 2026. In fact, this isn't this performance of this poll is pretty weak actually compared to usual. If I just go to the last sort of let's go last 28 days and just see if we can see a poll that's done a lot better than that. Here you go. So 3,000 odd impressions, 119 votes. Okay, so the reason why, so not all posts do well, right? But I mean, look, 19 votes on the one about LinkedIn game plan isn't bad. But look, this is 119 votes. Now, why is this important? I just want to show you why we're doing this sort of stuff for lead generation. It isn't just kind of putting content out or putting thought leadership. It's 119 people that have voted on this poll. And if I'm doing, and the whole point of this, the current affairs post, 150,000, impressions on this current affairs post. If you can get these sort of numbers, you are starting the week massive. Then Wednesday, we call it a current affair. Sorry, no, we did current affairs. I should know this. We call this your weekly moment, right? Every week should have a moment. It should have a focal point, right? The first 2 days is just about building engagement. This is the most important post of the week. It is your moment. It's your cachet. It's your crescendo to the week, right? And so this is, for me, the event that we're currently in. This is my weekly moment. This is a great event. You do great. But it could also be a newsletter. It's an event. It could be a podcast that you put out. It could be a LinkedIn Live that you do. It could be a long form video, like a YouTube video, etc. But something there's a thought leadership piece that you've spent time on, and this is the thing that you don't duplicate. You do new each week. It's the only thing you need to do fresh each week because you can repurpose everything else. Current affairs, debatably, you can't but you could just reshare someone else's post on the current affairs post. And by the way, resharing someone else's post, you think, oh, well, that's kind of like a bit of a cop out. The best performing post that I did this week is this one here, which I reposted. And this is just me reposting someone else's video, and I'm putting a kind of a 3 lines in. This is me reposting someone else's video, and look, it's nearly 10,000 impressions, a load of likes, some comments, and I'm having a chat with people in the room, right? So again, that's cool, right? It took me 2 seconds to repost that, but it kind of it's on the bar. I'm talking about it's kind of on the subject for me, so it's no worries, right? And it's good. So that that doesn't need to take much time. This is the one that we spend time on, the weekly moment, right? So great newsletter. Now, when we've got, say, all of these engagements on here, what can we do? Well, we can DM them. So if we're doing a poll that is related to the topic, so we talked about, do you have a game plan for 2026? So everybody that voted, I can say, thanks for your vote. Would you like to come along to my event that I'm hosting on Wednesday? And you invite them along to it. People who are talking about this current affairs post, if you relate it back to your subject, you can say thanks for doing it. You can connect with them and you move them in. Lots of people have said, "Oh, we got connection strategy, but we're not getting conversations." The whole point of it is sometimes you can do cold connections, or what if you just spend your time doing warm connections to the people that are voting on stuff and engaging on stuff because they made the first move. They voted or engaged on your post. If they're target audience, great. Then you can go and send them a connection request, send them a message, invite them along to your weekly moment, or invite them to subscribe to your newsletter, your LinkedIn newsletter, if that's your weekly moment. And of course, then your subscribers you can then talk to. Now, what are you going to do at these events? Well, you're going to say, hey, who wants to have a one-to-one with me afterwards? So you have a call to action into that sales call. So, we talked about this whole thing being content into leads. How are you going to grow over 6 months? You're having a, hey, thanks for coming along to my event. We'd love to have a chat with you, maybe catch up, see what you thought about it, book them on the one-to-one. Or, hey, thanks for subscribing to my LinkedIn newsletter. How's things? We'd love to have a catch up. Should we book a virtual coffee? Move them into that one-to-one. So can you see how we're building the awareness and the audience? We're then delivering some real great thought leadership to that audience, and then we're driving that attention into one-to-ones. What are we thinking? Does that give us a one in the chat if we're thinking and we're liking this? What do we think? One in the chat. Give me a two if you're just lost. I'm hoping for no twos. Okay, one and a half. I love it, Johnny. Thank you. All right, I like it. Luckily, if you do this plan, not only is it going to recap all the things I've said, but there is a full training of this, and it also is tailored to you. So it's a little bit more applicable. So hopefully some of the ideas will come about will be more styled towards you. So let me just finish this off. So remember Thursday, we could either do a two-step or we could do a throwback Thursday. I'll talk about that in a second, and a Friday a testimonial, right? So with a Thursday post, if you have got no time, do a throwback Thursday. Find a piece of content that's done well, ideally around the same theme of the week. Especially if you've done the same 13-week cycle for a second time. So if this is your second quarter, you could throw back your weekly moment from last quarter. Now, I said that you won't reuse this content, but if you go throwback Thursday, this post was really great where I talked about how the failings of X, Y, and Z actually creates this benefit for small business owners. That's really great because the nice thing about that, if I throw back a replay of an audience of an event, or if I throw back an old newsletter, that will still have the call to action into the one-to-one. So you'll get some more one-to-ones off your throwback. If you are doing an event like I do, I always do a who wants the replay. So some people miss this event, and I say who wants the replay plus the resources, and I get a number of additional people saying yes, which missed the sign up to the event beforehand. So I'm getting them on a kind of a reoffer of the free event for them to watch the replay and get the resources, right? So that again is a super easy post to put together. Now, if you wanted to do a two-step post, which by the way could be your weekly moment, your two-step post, but if you wanted to do a two-step post in the same week, then there is a great training in GPT on this two-step post, and we do that in this session here. But just to show you the power of a two-step post, what do I mean by this? This is so if I show you the best performing posts that we've done, so 365 days, it's a two-step post. Just for clarity, here you go. And it says a free AI bot to show you why your profile isn't converting and how to fix it in 3 minutes. If you want the link, comment yes below and I'll send it over. And look, there's 1,500 people saying yes, 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 yes. And so we're sending over the link for this. So this is when people say, "Oh, my content isn't creating leads, or I'm not getting engagement, or I'm not getting people work." I think one of the comments before this was my DMs are like a ghost town. if I message Gerald here with he said yes, and I say check your GMs, and I go to Gerald, and then I've sent him a hey, here's your free AI tool. It doesn't have to be an AI tool, by the way. It can be a free dashboard that we've done. It can be a resource, a tool, a swipe file, a copy of your free book. A download. We talk about this in this GPT, by the way. I help you to come up with the download first before we're writing the post within that AI tool around two-step post. But Gerald is going to have a conversation with me. He's asked for the thing. I've given him the thing. I've delivered on it. And then I'm going to ask him, hey, Gerald, how did you get on with the thing? And then the conversation just starts off far better, right? So this is why this stuff works, my friends. It genuinely, genuinely works. So then we do the Throwback Thursday on here. And then the final thing is, look at this. So the first 2 days, okay, we built engagement plus audience, right? So really kind of built up engagement. Second 2 days is that we've built out, this is kind of lead generation and moving them through consideration, because we talk about awareness, consider, and then convert, right? So awareness, consider, so they're kind of learning more, they're reading more, they're understanding more, they're seeing if they like the cut of your jib. And then by the third section, which is the last day, we talk about convert. So convert is probably you're starting to have some of these one-to-one meetings. Plus Friday we talk about share a win. What is Friday? Basically, share a case study, a testimonial, some sort of video story of your clients. Sharing that shows actually I do sell this stuff and I do a good job for it, and people say nice stuff about me. This backs up. It's not actually doing the converting for you, but it backs up why people should actually think about you, because you just talked about this theme all week, why actually you can help people with this theme. And this is the important piece. It really gives you will have, by the way, just a complete clarity here, it will be the least well performing post of your week. It just will be, because everything else is designed to generate far more conversion. But it doesn't matter, because it's the few that matter here, because we've dragged all of these people through, but it's these people that we care about, the people that had the one-to-ones with you, who see the last post, which is your share a win. And that share a win will be the thing that actually backs up why people, and you've been talking about it in the one-to-one, but it's like a reminder post of why you're good. It's the perfect post for them. So that's kind of how the content strategy works and how it all fits together, right? And so the point of this being is that there's tactics and strategies along the way. And you can kind of see this 6 month piece in here. Now, I'm very quickly going to just show you the final kind of parts of this in terms of this tactic, but I'm going to leave you to play with this 6 month plan. I'm going to take some questions in a second, but just remember there's a nice 5x5 network shakeout. So this is kind of helping you to sell more to existing clients or get more leads out of existing clients, which is just a fun challenge to say, contact 5 people from your immediate network 5 days a week for 5 weeks, right? So just make a list and just go out and just DM people that you haven't seen before, or old clients that you haven't worked with for a while, or people who have got like good networks that might have referred you in the past, friends from back in the day who might know people. Message 5 people for 5 days straight for 5 weeks. It's a real simple way of being able to go to your network's tree, shake it, let the low hanging fruit comes out. This is that bit that gets you to cash quickly as you're building momentum with the other ones. Okay. Then we talk about offer and helping you get a bit more clarity around your offer. And then we start to move into increased conversion and authority and raising prices and stuff, right? There's loads in here. There's loads in here. And so I want to, again, just reiterate, jump onto that 6 month plan. It brings together all the good stuff that I've been created. It's almost like a nice way of helping me to signpost resources for you to use in a applicable to your goals methodology, and you can then bite off a little bit as you chew. Look, a 6 month plan to be able to hit some business growth goals is an elephant. But how do you eat an elephant? A mouthful at a time. Oh my God, random. But there you go. So so that's there. So I'm going to take some questions. But just to say, Yes, it might look like a lot of work. And if you do need help and support on that, then um, there's two ways. One, we do offer a free one-to-one LinkedIn profile audit, which is a great way of speaking to one of our experts who will spend time with you to go through exactly how you can optimize your profile and actually some of the things that you can do to improve your profile. So if you need help with that, and it's free, it's totally free, do jump onto this. So let me just get this profile audit in here. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put it into the chat. The next thing so there you go. So jump onto that link on there. Okay, so Flora's putting the growth plan in here. So let me just show you this. Here you go. So we do these. So there's totally free LinkedIn profile audits. We show you about getting your headline right, getting some bits right, etc. There's plenty in there, and we got some spaces. We've got no spaces today. Normally there is a space today, but we've got looks like a few spaces tomorrow. But we don't have masses. We don't have masses of these spaces. So there's the link in there for if people want to book that. It's totally for free. Um, and then the final thing, which is more of a bit of a fun one for people that have been kind of kicking around my stuff for a little while. I've been building. I've been building stuff. You know how I love my AI. And so this is like a cheeky behind the scenes thing because I'm just a little bit proud of myself for building something. I got very excited. Chris, you remember that we did that session with Daniel Wagner on Lovable. And so I spent my weekend playing and I've come up with this. So when we're thinking, and I haven't launched this or not, so it's not yet. So if you're a client, you're not going to get this just yet. You're going to get this probably next week. But next week, though, next week, okay. But when we're talking about those 13-week plans, that there's a place here we're going to upload this into this back end here. So you got your plan. Then you're going to pick which ones are going to be your monthly events because we choose in the 13 plan, you choose 3 monthly events. So you then pick 3 of the 13 themes to be your monthly events. You then pick 3 of the 13 themes to be your two-step posts because then we can go newsletter, two-step, newsletter, event. That's kind of the weekly one. And then once you've approved all this, it goes into a calendar. And then this is how you would work with your VA because the VA will be doing all this. And then you go, right, okay, this is how this looks. And then next week, this is how this looks. And then you can go and actually approve it. You can put it in review or you can say approve. So then the VA can then post it and then you'll be able to see the content in here. So it's kind of like nice how we've aggregated together the Trello boards that we currently use into this. And then you'll be able to see in approvals, you'll be able to see this stuff is in review. So you need to approve this. This is what you have approved, and this is what the VA hasn't started for you yet. And then my favorite bit, because I love this, is that we're going to then show you your dashboard. So how many views you're getting, how many engagements, how many followers, how many leads, how many bookings, how many shops, how many sales. So then this all comes into here. And then from my management point of view, which is going to be fun for us, is that we can then start to see how many leads in total our clients all have. So this would be our total, like what we've achieved for all of our clients. But then I'll start to have league tables for clients. So we'll be able to see which clients are making the most sales, which clients are getting the most views. So that's kind of fun for us to play with. But it also gives us this attention. So actually, if anybody's leads are dropping or they're getting low occasion, then we get these notifications, and then our success team can come on and work with the VA to make sure that the clients are increasing their conversion rate or increasing the amount of leads. So that's our fun stuff. So just if anybody doesn't know what this is my business sprint VA. I can show this. This is the website. Basically, we give you a VA for £5 per hour, but it's not that. It's loads more. You get a free community. You get software and stuff like that. You get me on a drop-in clinic that you can come along to. You can then check out this. Our pricing is on here, by the way. If you just go to get started, you can see that £5 an hour. There you go. Anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about your questions. Okay, so that's in the chat now if anybody wants to jump on to that link to learn a bit more about us. Okay, so Nicola, how are you? Good morning. How
And
can I
more
help?
thanks. Morning, Richard. Nice to see you. Thank you for doing this. It's great value. Really appreciate it. I've got a quick question for you. What is the impact of editing or deleting posts? So, for example, I put a post up last week, and after about an hour, I think I'd had like, I don't know, a reach of 10 or something like that. And I think I'd been the only person that had liked it. So I just took it off. I thought, oh, it's just bombing before it's even got started. Should I have just left it alone or what?
Yeah, so a posts have a bit of a strange life cycle. So the first hour is vital, and there's some things that are super important about the post. I'm just going to delete this now because there's no coming back from that drawing. So the whole point of it is that when you do a post, that first hour is so important, which is why
Mm,
things like a pod can be important, but it has to be the right type of engagement. So that if you don't get anything here, you're not going to get any spike and it'll just die. If you get a good engagement here, what happens in the first hour is then it plateaus. So many of my posts, I will see get a bit of engagement and I go, oh, it's not doing much. It plateaus. And then this kind of is goes out because you go out to your, say your audience is here, LinkedIn will test it with like, yeah, 2% of your audience, right? So if you've got a bigger audience, it will test it with more people, which is why the bigger your audience, the better it is because you get a better first reach. If you start to get likes and shares on that post, then it will then start to give it to ever more of your first degrees, right? So this is your first degree connections.
mm,
And then it plateaus to just kind of make sure, kind of look at how it is. And then you'll start to see a rise that will happen there. And you'll see another couple of plateaus. It will kind of have these kind of rises. And what this tends to be, and what we're seeing, is actually this will be then when it starts to show it out to second degrees. And so that's the connections of your
mhm,
connections. And then if they start to like and share it as well as, and it will also give you more of your first degrees, then it will kind of plateau and then it will start to then put out to third degrees. So we see this on our stuff that goes really viral, is that some of the connections or some of the comments for will be kind of third degree or and it's not an exact science by the way because obviously it's like all these things they don't tell you exactly how your algorithm works but we definitely see far more action from third degree connections in kind of the third tier the third kind of wave of a post life cycle and more from the seconds. I mean, in here, you're also getting seconds and firsts, but you're not getting thirds for sure here and you're getting very few third degrees in here. So this the third degree, by the way, is basically the connections of your second degrees, and there's a little normally third degree plus. So it's kind of the connections of your connections plus everybody else, right? So basically everybody else. So that's how the life cycle works. Now, if you don't have that initial engagement, then it's worth killing. But what I wouldn't do is I would then test it with a post and then go, oh, I'll kill that off and never use it again. You've got to look at what a post really looks like. So when you jump into LinkedIn, you jump onto here, and what am I actually seeing on here? I'm seeing his face, his name, the first line, and a photo, right? And so then what we want to think about, well, actually, is I've got this real estate to be able to then try and get people to click this more button. So you need to look at your first line. Now, actually, LinkedIn gives you three lines, right?
mm,
You get three lines there. So if it's all one paragraph, you'll probably see the first three lines. If it's a sentence and then there's a long paragraph underneath, you'll only see one. If it is a sentence that doesn't make a whole line, a gap, and a sentence that doesn't make a whole line, you'll see sentence gap sentence. So that's I always try and go that sentence gap sentence just because I feel like it looks better. But again, so if we look here, oh well, LinkedIn's weird because it kind of changes sometimes. So you can see it
yeah,
only gives him the first line there. It's difficult. So you've got it's all about that first line really. You've got first line and then more. Sometimes you get more. Actually, strangely, LinkedIn's only giving us. Yeah, see, if you go over one line, you might get those first two lines.
yeah.
It's weird. Yeah. Hang on. Oh no, no. So yeah, it used to be you get that sentence line. So actually now it's even more important. It's all about the first line.
Okay, so the question is, if I put a post up and it looks like it's bombed within the first hour, I hear what you're saying. Don't just like ditch it and not learn anything. Look at what might have gone wrong about it. But is it right for me to delete it
Yeah.
or to edit it at that stage?
No, don't
Just
edit
delete
it.
it.
It's game over. Yeah. You because you've missed the first thing. What I
Yeah.
would do is probably change picture, change first line. I
What, and
wouldn't
then
change the
repost.
rest of the post. I would just change the picture and the first line. And then I'd
And
repost it
okay.
in an hour or even the next day, ideally. Depends if it is day specific,
Yeah,
then wait an hour, refresh
yeah,
the feed. Also, here's the other thing that's quite important to think about again when you're acting your game plan for this, um, is LinkedIn has like its algorithm wants to see this. This is how it gets over the people who use content schedulers, because schedulers will just post and gone, right? LinkedIn rewards better reach for your post if it sees this. So if you spend sort of 15 odd minutes kind of connecting with people, messaging, commenting on other people's posts, then you post, and then you do 15 minutes kind of replying to people's comments, commenting on other people's posts, that half an hour actually really helps to be able to increase the reach of that post by doing it that way round, right? So that can really help to be able to do it, and it shows that you are human, you're working it that way. So um, if you're doing that, make sure that you kind of got those two bits on working on that way. Okay, so
yeah.
that's what I would say. So really kind of give it a bit of engagement beforehand. So if you can do that, try and do it.
I have got one very last question to tag onto that. Do you think it matters if the post is being scheduled rather than you just posting it live?
Yeah, it definitely has a difference in the only time we do scheduling is on our LinkedIn newsletter, because we go out on a Sunday morning with our LinkedIn newsletter, because we do this
Yeah,
event Wednesday. And also the nice thing about LinkedIn newsletter, it sends an email out to people, so you kind of drag
yeah.
people on to engage on it. If you're using a scheduler, it will have a difference. One, because of what I just showed you, but
Mm.
two, just LinkedIn likes to LinkedIn's share price is all about any social media share price is how many people are users who are using it live. So if you're a user who's using it live, it is what is giving it what it needs, and so therefore that will yeah it wants that.
That's what I thought. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
No worries, good stuff. So remember, guys, these are the sort of conversations we have with our experts on the LinkedIn profile audit. There's the free link again to jump onto that. Thank you for people who have already booked, because my phone's been binging. So I do appreciate you for jumping on there. So if you haven't got that, don't miss out. Right. Someone else had their hand up. Deborah, did your hand go down by mistake?
Oh yeah, because I thought you were ending, but no, it's a very quick one. Could you, if you can, explain the 555? So I got it, but I thought, am I bugging the same five people? Or is it five different people?
No,
So
that's 4 or 5 people. They've been contacted 5 days for 5 weeks. Like I think you go to prison for that sort of stuff,
this
Deborah.
is what I was thinking. So I thought I must have misunderstood. Yes,
So so it's 5 different people a day for 5 days in a row, and then you do that for 5 weeks in a row. So it's 25 people a week.
that makes more sense.
No worries, no worries. And it's basically, think about all those people that you went to networking with back in the day, and you might have worked with in an old place. It's like there's loads of people, and it just gives you permission to start to do a sustained campaign. Write it out, it's there. It's quite a few people once you think about that over 5 weeks, but it's a WhatsApp, it's a DM, it's the sort of people you already have in your phone. It's that. And you have meetings with it. Simple, but you wouldn't believe how well it works. Um, cool. And there's a training on it that will help you, which is linked up. So go for that. So, Chris, final question over to Chris, and then we'll wrap up. Just to say, just before we do answer that question, thank you guys. Remember, every Wednesday, 9 a.m. if you're shooting off. And also do remember to jump on that LinkedIn audit. It will help. Chris, over to you, mate.
Thank you. As you know, I'm just bedding in with my wonderful VA. She's created some fantastic funnels for me, which has been a godsend. And now I'm really getting into the content. Just want a bit of a guide around what I really need to take control of in the content. I know she's given me the 13-week plan. I need to approve. The newsletter still need expanding. Which bits would you recommend I really try to take? I know she's taken away a lot of the donkey works, for want of a better word, and freeing up a lot of time for me. Fantastic. But there's obviously still bits yeah, which bits do I really need to get into the details? So I can, because I'm about to start working on that today, you see.
Cool.
So
So what we say is that depends on how you want to work. So one of the things that can be really useful is just signing off 13 polls, because then Mondays are sorted, and then you can then sign off, and then the current affairs post, etc., or whatever your plan is for Tuesday. That's kind of more kind of in the week rhythm. You don't have to do that, by the way, because the poll can give you the engagement to go into the weekly moment without doing that, but it's like a nice little addition during the week. The one that's always going to need your involvement is that weekly moment. And selecting that you want to do 3 of your themes as two-step posts, that means you're going to need to have a resource that people are going to have to download. So thinking about what you already have that you could actually make into a two-step post. So that could be really useful. Are you going to do events? Okay, 3 of those are going to be events. So which one? That is the project. The Wednesday post is the project. That's where the kind of the hard work is from a client's perspective. Whereas once you've got, say, 13 case studies, and actually we think, well, where am I going to get 13 case studies from? Well, if you, oh crikey, what have I done here? How have I set up a second? Oh my God. Can you guys still hear me?
yep.
Um, this is random. I've created 2 desktops and I've lost you. Okay, right. Sorry, that was random. I've lost you for a second. Okay, so the how do you find 13 case studies, for example? Well, jump onto your profile and look down, and there's a great handy dandy tool that is recommendations, right? And you may already have some recommendations you can use, or if you haven't, you can press the plus button. You can go and ask for a recommendation. You can go find people, um, and you can then go. Is it CO? There you go. And you can go find someone and you press continue. And then you basically can just say, hey, we worked with each other in the same group. My position at the time was, got to find, here we go, sprint. And then you say, hi, Chris, could you write me a recommendation on LinkedIn, please? And then send it. But you could also say, hi, Chris, can you write a review of how your, I don't know, first weeks with a VA, or you could do about my events that you came along to, or whatever it is. Was right. Do you know what I mean? So you just send a nice little post like that, and you could do that out to 30 people that you've worked with, and then
Mhm.
hope that half of them come back with a nice review. And then when you've got this, you can see this. And what I can do is I can take a screenshot now, and I can take this screenshot of Keith. I can then go and paste it onto here. I can then go and save it. And I can then use that as the image for a post. Here you go, save it onto here. Yes. And also, here you go. Here's the cool thing. Just to go back to the 6 month thing, there is a testimonial strategy here that basically this one will show you that I built an AI tool that basically just copies and pastes the text of the testimonial into the AI tool, and then it will write a case study post that you would then put out with the actual image that we just copied and pasted of Keith, and then that's your 13. You create 13 of those, and they become your testimonial posts. So there's a nice way of that means Friday signed off, Monday signed off, Thursday's the throwback, so that's cool. So you can kind of find out what's work. Tuesday the current fair post, then you're just really hitting those Wednesdays.
Cool. And with the Friday ones, I can give those testimonials to the VA as well, and she can create the case.
They can create the case studies because the whole point of this is from your perspective. It's you could even just say to them like, here, look at these referrals. You might just want to tailor to say this is the one that I want, and here's like a line or two about some stuff that they don't say in a testimonial that they brought. Do you know what I mean? Like he says some nice things about the VA there, but I might just say, could you create a testimonial around this? Keith, was able to have this result or that result with the VA, and boom, 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 and I might put like 2 or 3 lines of sentence along there.
Yeah.
Or you might go, oh, I'm seeing Keith next week. Actually, I'll just see if I can grab them and upgrade that testimonial to a video testimonial. Because here's the cool thing, it's about polishing. So once you've got your 13 testimonials, you can always polish them and say, right, let's try and upgrade that to a video testimonial. Let's upgrade that to that.
Mhm.
So I'm really sorry we're at time, and thank you, Chris, for the question. So I'm not going to get a chance to answer your question because I actually have a 10 o'clock where I got to jump to as well. So thank you all, my friends. Hopefully we'll see you on one of these LinkedIn profile audits or next week at LinkedIn for Breakfast. I hope this has been of value, and I look forward to catching up with you all in due course. Big love. Take care.
Thank
See
you,
you.
Richard. Just to say I sent you a direct message. That's all.
Cool. Thank you. Bye. 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 Bye.